I don't know who will hear this. I don't even know if I'll still be alive once it's found. All I know is, what we buried decades ago, has clawed its way back into the light. Everyone told me the Zodiac killer was dead. A ghost from the early 70s. People assume a killer is one man, one lifespan. But the files I've studied hint at something far worse. The Zodiac wasn't a person. He was a pattern passed down, the symbol inherited like a uniform. A name printed on dusty file folders, nothing more. But ghosts don't kill people. And something is killing again. So, I need you to listen. Because if I disappear, this monologue is all that remains of the truth. It began with a single sheet of paper. Slipped under my door in the middle of the night. Typed words, all caps. You have been ignoring my work. No stamp. No address. No explanation. On the back, that mark. A circle with a cross through it. Burned into the page, like branding a piece of flesh. I stared at it for a long time. I've spent years studying the Zodiac, for articles, documentaries, and lectures. Some call me an expert, others say I'm obsessed. Either way, my work put a target on me long before the first letter arrived. I know that symbol better than my own reflection. But seeing it fresh, smelling the smoke of its creation, my mouth went dry. Someone wasn't pretending. Someone wanted to be him. Or worse, someone was continuing him. And that thought only made sense because, months earlier, while researching unsolved disappearances connected to Coastal Highway, I'd come across a name I didn't recognize. Rhea Grant. A case with a symbol that had bothered me even back then, though I didn't fully understand why. It was a case I'd filed away mentally, something about it feeling wrong. I didn't know then how important it would become. The next morning, I woke to news alerts. Young couple attacked near Riverside Park. Lover's Lane. Knife wounds. Boy dead. Girl barely alive. Exactly like his first confirmed strike in 1970. At the hospital, the girl managed to whisper through trembling lips. He wore a black hood, with a white symbol. Just like Lake Berryessa. Just like the original Zodiac. Copycat? Impossible precision. He didn't just study Zodiac. He mimicked him. And the details matched not what the public knew, but what experts like me discussed only in closed academic seminars and restricted forums. Whoever this was, had access to knowledge beyond open records. And beyond anything I had ever published myself, meaning he had a source I didn't. And that meant, someone with official clearance, someone inside, was feeding him. The police dismissed me, until another message arrived. This time, coded symbols. A cipher. Complex. Mocking. I locked myself in my office. Coffee cup stacking. Hours disappearing. It wasn't just difficult. It was familiar, almost intentionally solvable, like the writer wanted me to reach a specific fragment. Finally, I cracked a piece. And I swear, the room temperature dropped. I know you can read this. I am your headline. Keep looking. A chill crawled down my spine. He wasn't writing to the police. He was writing to me. Maybe it was the article I published last year. The one where I said Zodiac was a coward who needed theatrics to feel powerful. Maybe that's why he chose me. Maybe obsession cuts both ways. Every clue he left wasn't meant for investigators. It was curated for me. But the precision of his reenactments told me something else. This wasn't a lone copycat. This felt organized. Coordinated. Like a pattern preserved by more than one set of hands. He wasn't hunting victims. He was grooming a successor. And that idea didn't come out of nowhere. A pattern like the Zodiac only survives if passed on. If someone studies the old killings as religiously as I did. Someone who understood the timing, the staging, the symbolism. Someone who knew how to make the old wounds bleed again. Someone who needed an audience, and chose me because I was predictable, traceable, and already inside the story. 3 weeks later. Another death. A taxi driver. Shot in the head. San Morisco. Blood writing on the door. The symbol again. News stations erupted. Zodiac copycat strikes. But this wasn't imitation. This was plagiarism of murder. A beat-for-beat remake. Each scene wasn't the exact location. It was rebuilt and staged to resemble the originals, down to the smallest prop, like someone reconstructing history from memory. And some of those details were never released to the public, or even to me. Which meant, someone with official access was feeding him, or was part of whatever pattern he belonged to. I couldn't ignore it anymore. So, I went to the cops myself. They questioned me more than they listened. My notes. My timelines. My obsession. They said the letters coming to me, not them, was too convenient. That the killer's reenactments matched details only I had published. That they were stretched thin and couldn't assign protection without an immediate threat. But one detective, off the record, told me something that made everything click. The department had already been warned not to assign any resources to me. A direct order from higher up, someone whose name he wouldn't say. Someone who didn't want me protected. Unofficially, he told me what the others wouldn't say aloud. Someone inside the department believed I was either the killer, or being used by him. Either way, they didn't want to put a security detail on someone they might have to arrest later. But the look they gave me said the truth. They were waiting for me to slip, convinced I was tied to the killings. Suddenly, I wasn't an expert. I was a suspect. I was becoming the most convenient explanation. Especially if the real culprit was behind their walls, pulling strings where only a colleague would notice. You study a killer long enough, they start to think you are one. And because someone inside their own ranks was tampering with evidence, I could see the paranoia tightening around them. And around me. Then came the brass key. Taped to another letter. Coordinates scribbled underneath. I drove out there in the dead of night, because my curiosity outweighs my survival instinct. I didn't trust anyone enough to bring them. Anyone who got close enough to help me didn't last long. A decaying campsite. A tent half collapsed. Clothes scattered, like someone left in terror. On a nearby tree, a fresh carving. This is only the beginning. Then, footsteps. Crisp. Calm. Approaching. I spun. Nothing there. But on the ground, a camcorder. Battery barely clinging to life. I pressed play. One shaky shot. Me. Standing right there, unaware. I realized it was a lure. That he knew I'd come alone. And in a single frame, ahead of me, a hooded figure. White mark glowing on the chest. My body moved before my mind did. I kept telling myself I should fight back, but obsession numbs you. When you've lived inside a killer's head long enough, you stop trusting which thoughts are yours. I don't remember the drive home. When I handed the camera to detectives the next morning, the footage didn't just corrupt. Their own tech specialist whispered, off the record, that the metadata showed manual interference. Someone with access to police systems wiped the playable frames the moment the file was logged. Not a hacker. Not a random breach. Someone with internal clearance. The kind only a handful of personnel possessed. And that meant the killer had more than a fan inside the department. He had a guardian. Someone ensuring he could hunt without consequence. The killer had left me a message, not evidence. It started on some nights. That cold breath at my neck. But now, it's every night. 3 a.m. sharp. Long. Measured. Like someone savoring the fear through the speakers. Then, one night, a voice.
You understand me. Better than the police ever did. Tell them I'm back.
Click. I didn't sleep again. And the most unsettling part wasn't the calls themselves, but the fact that phone company logs showed nothing. No incoming number. No spoofed line. Nothing. Someone was routing those calls through a system not meant for civilians. Or even law enforcement. A system designed to leave no trail, something only federal or ex-military communications equipment could do. And because the calls always came at the same time, with the same static envelope, it felt less like a person dialing, and more like a system set to speak. I had a friend helping me research named Rachel. She grounded me. Kept me from falling into madness. One night, her phone rang endlessly. No answer. The next evening, a news report flashed. Woman found dead at Lake Berryessa. Bound. Stabbed. Savage repetition. On her t-shirt, neatly written with marker. He only trusts you. My lungs collapsed. This wasn't reenactment. This wasn't nostalgia. This was escalation. And I was the recipient. Rachel had found discrepancies in the archived Zodiac case files. Things even I missed. She told me one of the case numbers had been altered. Someone had rewritten parts of the Zodiac timeline from the inside. And the detail she was most shaken by. The thing she said she needed to show me in person was that one of the earliest highway patrol missing person cases, months before Zodiac ever wrote a letter, had a symbol in the margins that shouldn't have existed yet. A crossed circle. Not on a victim's body, not on paper, but scratched into glass. She said it appeared in a 1969 case file belonging to a girl named Rhea Grant. A girl who vanished that same year. First appearing in my research months ago, and resurfacing again just weeks earlier. Rachel believed that whoever altered the files didn't just change the timeline. They were protecting an origin story, one that predated Zodiac entirely. Her exact words were, "This was never one killer. It was a lineage." Before her death, she told me she finally knew who was rewriting history. And tonight, I found the same symbol scratched into my bedroom window.